Gabbitt Media.
One of my students asked me how to make a low poly mousse recently, so here we go. First, it's important to get a reference image. A good side-on view of a mousse, perfect. Now I've just taken the default cube and gone into edit mode, and I'm moving about the vertices. I'm in side view, and you've got to make sure you box select the vertices, then you'll get the back vertices as well, and it will make sure the cube is staying the same shape, and you're not just getting one side tracing around the mousse. So obviously here I'm just simply tracing around and following the shape of the body to start with. How detailed you go is up to you, but I think low poly, this is about right. Then I do a loop cut down the middle, give it a bit more detail to play with. Now I'm selecting half the shape, so I've gone to top view, deleted half the shape and done a mirror modifier, so now I only have to work on one half of the model. At this point I start shaping the body, give it a sort of round shape. Now I'm going to the legs. You've got to make sure you've got space for the legs, so a space in between your mirror modifier so there is room to put a leg in. Thought I'd better save my work at that point. So there we go, going down to the bottom, and I realised I didn't have enough legs on this particular model of mousse. So I went to the internet to find another model. There we go, there's one. So resize that. So it fits roughly the same, so I can get the length that the legs are supposed to be. Proportions are all important if you want to end up with an authentic mousse. If you press Z on your keyboard, you'll go to wireframe mode, and that sometimes makes it a little bit easier. At the bottom you can see the hooves are slightly weird, so I made sure that I put a loop cut down the leg so that I could extrude that bit of the hoof. It looks very robotic, so we need to go in and sort of give the leg some curves and give it all a proper sort of rounded shape. I've got another picture of a mousse there to give me some other details, and like I say, reference images, all important so you can see the shapes. You can't just go from a side image, you have to get other reference images to get all the different lumps and bumps in the mousse's body. Generally I'll just sort of go around getting rough shape and then go to another bit, get that rough shape, go back to another bit, get a rough shape, and slowly the mousse is formed. But yes, keep going with the reference images. I thought I haven't got a reference image of a mousse's bum, so I better go and find one. Always keep it simple to start with. Even if I was doing a really detailed model of a mousse, not low poly, I would start with this sort of level of polygons, then it's nice and simple. Once you've got this simple version, then you can start adding vertices and make it more complicated and realistic. At this point it seems to be coming on fairly well. The body looks okay, so it's time for the antlers. Again, I thought I'd get a reference image, so I got some antlers off the internet. I actually cut the beginning of the antlers away from the body, just so the rest of the body didn't get confused with the antler. And I got my antlers, and I am now extruding, pulling it out, so it all fits. Stupidly, I had the antlers the wrong way round, so in a moment I flip them over, which is fairly straightforward. This time I'm extruding each section out to make sure I've got a face to extrude from for the pointy bits of the antlers. Put a loop cut in where needed. There's quite a lot of detail in this bit and quite a lot of polys really, but it seemed to be necessary if I wanted this many points in my antlers. I could have gone lower poly and maybe not had as many points, and you'd still get the rough idea that it was a moose. It depends on your style really, how detailed you want to go, but I thought I'd go medium level. So you can see with all those edge loops I can easily extrude edges out and make the pointy bits. At this point I thought it'd be easy to sculpt them so they sort of bend upwards. I thought that'd be the best way to do it. It didn't really work, so afterwards I just used the selection tool to pull them around. The circle select, and selected a group of vertices and pulled them up and down. You'll see that in a moment. This bit I just joined them back to the main model. Actually no, here we go, I'm trying to use the sculpt tool. It's kind of working. It's working okay, I suppose. But later on I use the selection tool. Just tidying up these points a little bit. It took a little bit of time actually. Probably spent a bit too long doing it, but still. Okay, and then I just select both objects, press Ctrl J to join, and then selected the edge loop for each of them, press Ctrl E to go to the edge menu, and there's an option Bridge Edge Loops that you can press that joins your edges back together. As long as it's got the same number of edges, that option will work for any object. And just tidying up a little bit, again looking at moose's bums to try and get the shape. Yep, and fairly happy with that. So there you go, there's how to create a low poly moose. Hope that helps Ellie Coleman. And anybody else that really wants to make a moose, but I don't think anybody actually does, it's just you, Ellie.